Your brain decided in 8 seconds. Your wallet paid for it for years. You walked through that house and something clicked. The light, the smell, the feeling. And from that moment, logic never had a chance. Today, we look at exactly why that happens. And once you see it, you will never walk through a house the same way again. Number 1. Why the heart decides before the head ever gets a vote. There is a phenomenon in neuroscience called instant emotional attachment, and it may be one of the most powerful forces in home buying. This is known as the affect heuristic. Paul Slovic from the University of Oregon demonstrated that when something generates an immediate positive emotion, the brain automatically suppresses risk perception. It sounds like this. I walked through the door and something just clicked. The light hit just right. The smell was familiar. I could not explain it, but I already knew. I was home. Your brain floods with dopamine, the same reward chemical that surges in romance and winning big. In seconds, the house feels destined. The rational checklist, budget, commute, resale potential, and structural red flags fade into background noise. The emotional high overrides it all because the feeling is visceral and immediate. The market, the inspector, and the lender operate on facts. The brain operates on feeling. And when the feeling arrives first, it often closes the deal before logic has time to speak. Two very different conversations are happening. One about a house that feels like home, one about whether it actually is. Only one protects you. Number 2. Why the money you spend is keeping you stuck. There is a concept in behavioral psychology called the sunk cost fallacy, and it may be one of the most expensive cognitive biases a buyer can carry. Richard Thaler's research on sunk costs predicts that once time, emotional energy, and money are invested, walking away becomes increasingly difficult even when new warning signs appear. It sounds like this. I have already spent weeks searching, driven hours for showings, paid for inspections, poured so much emotion into this. I cannot walk away now, but those costs are sunk, gone, irrecoverable, irrelevant to what comes next. What a buyer sees today is the house as it is, its flaws, its price, its fit, not the journey that led here. The sunk cost fallacy wires us to honor past effort as if it adds value to the future decision. In real estate, that past becomes an invisible anchor pulling toward yes, even when every new piece of information says no. Two very different conversations are happening. One about not wasting what has already been spent. One about what actually serves tomorrow. Only one looks forward. Number 3. Why nostalgia turns a house into home before you have checked the facts. There is a deep psychological pull called nostalgia bias, combined with place identity, and it may be one of the quietest ways buyers choose wrong. Harold Proshansky's research on place identity in the 1970s showed that certain spaces resonate so deeply with our sense of self that the emotional response is almost instant and irreversible. It sounds like this. This feels just like my grandparents' place. It reminds me of where I grew up. Safe, warm, perfect, the layout, the porch, the scent of wood, the way light falls through windows, trigger unconscious memories. The brain links the new house to old feelings of security and belonging, creating an instant sense of home that has little to do with the property itself. Narrative therapy helps buyers distinguish between the story the house is telling them and the story they actually need for the next chapter of their life. Practical mismatches, wrong size for the family, bad schools, high taxes get pushed aside because the emotional echo feels so true. Buyers often say, it just feels right without realizing the feeling comes from yesterday, not today. Two very different conversations are happening. One about a house that feels familiar. One about whether familiar and right are actually the same thing. Only one serves your future. Number 4. Why the fear of losing it makes you grab it faster. There is a psychological phenomenon called FOMO, fear of missing out. And in the hot real estate markets, it may be the most dangerous emotion in the room. Psychologist Andrew Przybylski and his colleagues at the University of Essex documented FOMO in 2013, showing it is driven by a deep need to stay connected to opportunities and a persistent anxiety that others are experiencing something better. It sounds like this. Everyone is bidding on houses. My friends just bought. If I do not offer now, someone else will take it tomorrow. I cannot be the only one left behind. The panic of missing out activates ancient survival instincts. Lose this chance and it is gone forever. Rational questions. Does it fit the budget? Is the layout workable? What about resale? Get drowned out by the anxiety of loss. Mindfulness-based cognitive therapy teaches buyers to recognize FOMO as a feeling driven by comparison, not by the actual value of the house in front of them, and to create a deliberate pause between the emotion and the decision. The market may have dozens of similar homes coming, but in the moment, this one feels like the last one on earth. Two very different conversations are happening. One about a house you are terrified to lose, one about whether this house is actually worth wanting. Only one leads to a clear decision. Number 5. Why one perfect detail blinds you to everything else. There is a perceptual trick called the halo effect, and it may be one of the sneakiest ways buyers fall hard for the wrong house. It sounds like this. Look at that backyard. The view, the space, it is incredible. Or the kitchen is a dream. I can already see myself there. One standout feature shines so brightly that it casts the rest of the house in shadow. A stunning view excuses a long commute. A gourmet kitchen downplays tiny bedrooms or high-maintenance costs. The brain generalizes the positive glow across the whole property. Serious flaws, foundation issues, poor flow, and overpricing get minimized or rationalized because the wow element dominates attention. What starts as admiration for one room ends as commitment to the whole mismatched package. Two very different conversations are happening. One about the one thing you love. One about everything else you will live with every single day. Only one is the full picture. Number 6. Why once you love it, every doubt disappears. There is a mental filter called confirmation bias, and it may be one of the most self-reinforcing traps in buying. Peter Wason demonstrated in 1960 that once the mind concludes, it actively seeks confirming evidence and ignores everything that contradicts it. It sounds like this. This is it. I can feel it. From that moment, the brain seeks only evidence that agrees. Glowing photos get replayed. Positive comments from friends stick. Minor upsides become major wins. Red flags, inspection notes, comps showing the house is overpriced. Agent warnings get downplayed, explained away, or forgotten entirely. The initial emotional yes creates a lens. Everything supports it. Nothing challenges it. Doubt feels like a betrayal of the feeling. Two very different conversations are happening. One of the reasons this house is right. One of the reasons the brain decided not to show you. Only one gives you the complete truth. Number 7. Why I can fix it feels true in the moment. There is an optimism illusion called overconfidence bias, combined with the illusion of control, and it may be one of the costliest assumptions buyers make. It sounds like this. The roof is old, but I can handle it. We will renovate the bathroom ourselves. No big deal. The emotional pull of the house inflates belief in personal abilities. Repair costs, timelines, and effort get underestimated because desire makes problems feel small and solvable. Buyers imagine themselves conquering flaws the way heroes do in stories. Quick, heroic, rewarding. Reality, contractor quotes, weekends lost, budgets blown, and arrives later. In the rush of love, the mind bets on control it does not have. Two very different conversations are happening. One about the house you're going to fix, one about the house you are actually buying today. Only one is real. Number 8. Why the first price you see becomes the only price that matters. There is a cognitive bias called anchoring, and it may be one of the subtlest ways buyers overpay. Tversky and Kahneman demonstrated that the first number we hear becomes the anchor from which we evaluate everything else. It sounds like this. It is listed at $750,000, so $720 feels like a steal. The original list price lodges in the mind as the reference point. Negotiations orbit around it even if comps, appraisals, or market conditions say it is inflated. Lower offers feel unfair, higher concessions feel justified. Buyers do not start from zero, they start from the seller's number. That first figure pulls perception away from true value, turning an overpriced house into one that seems reasonable by comparison. Two very different conversations are happening. One about what the seller wants, one about what the house is actually worth. Only one is the right starting point. Number 9. Why you buy the dream, not the house. There is a projection bias called idealized future imagining, and it may be one of the most seductive reasons buyers choose wrong. Shelley Taylor and Sherry Schneider showed in 1989 that the brain blurs vivid imagination with reality, while George Lowenstein demonstrated that we consistently project our current emotions into the future. It sounds like this. Picture the holidays here. The kids are playing in that backyard. The life we will have. The house becomes a canvas for fantasy. Perfect routines, growing family, happiness, real variables, job changes, aging parents, market shifts, life's unpredictability fade because the vision feels so vivid and possible. Buyers purchase the projected story, not the actual bricks and mortar. When reality arrives, the mismatch stings because the emotional investment was in the dream, not the property. Two very different conversations are happening. One about the life you are imagining, one about the house you are actually buying. You will only live in every day. Number 10. Why scarcity makes this is the one feel undeniable. There is a heuristic called the scarcity principle combined with emotional contagion, and it may be one of the fastest ways the brain declares a house irreplaceable. Robert Cialdini documented in 1984 that perceived scarcity increases desire regardless of real value, while emotional contagion explains how excitement from agents, family, or a spouse spreads and softens even the most cautious buyer. It sounds like this. There is nothing else like this. It is unique. Even when similar homes exist or will be listed soon, the mind amplifies rarity. This floor plan, this lot, this charm. Urgency gets artificially inflated. Comparison shopping shuts down. The illusion of being the only one overrides logic because scarcity triggers loss aversion, and others' enthusiasm becomes contagious. Buyers commit faster, bid higher, forgive flaws, all to avoid letting the rare one go. Two very different conversations are happening. One about a house that feels irreplaceable. One about whether it actually is. Only one is based on reality.
If any of this felt familiar, you are not alone. If you found this helpful, give it a like. It helps more people find us. Subscribe so you never miss an episode. This is Real Estate on the Couch.